charge. So, I'm Cindy Sheehan. Thank you for coming. I'm the lead organizer and visionary for Tour de Peace. But before I talk, I want my team to give you a few words. Oh, you got my book. You want me to sign it? Okay, I will in a minute. So I'm going to have my team give you a few words each. I have 4 people here that have been with me since California. So I think, thank you, 4 people. I think I'm going to have our latest deserter, Toppi, come up. He's leaving. Yesterday was his last day to ride. Something about spending time with a new grandbaby or whatever.
Yeah.
Yay, Ron! Introduce yourself and just say what everyone.
My name's Jon Gold, and I've been biking for peace since 2005. I gave up a car. I gave it up a long time ago, but after the invasion of Iraq, I swore off cars for a long time, and I ended up biking across the country myself 3 times between 2005, 6, and 7 to Washington, D.C., protesting for oil. And I met Cindy a few times over those years. And so when this came up, I was already considering riding to Flagstaff because my daughter and the partner was back there. Just had a baby 2 weeks ago. And so I was going to come to Flagstaff anyways, see the baby. And when this ride came up to join Cindy, I was all over it because I really wanted to support Cindy and her efforts to get a message out about war and social justice and what it's doing to us in this country and the world. And because it means a lot to me as well. So yeah, I support the road. Cindy really needed a good bike, so I was able to go with the bike. I'm from Chico. I live in Chico. I'm not from there, but I live in Chico now. And so I bike from Chico to Vacaville, and I've been to April 4th. And I've had an amazing journey with them so far here at Flagstaff. We've met some amazing people, been to some great events, and spent a lot of good hours, a lot of good miles on the road, getting to know some of so yeah, I'm really glad to be here in Flagstaff and continue to support peace as they make their way the rest of the way for us.
Thank you, Ron. Ron did make my bike. It's an amazing touring bike that I fell in love with like instantly. We started on April 4th from my son's grave in Vacaville. That's the day he was killed. Vacaville, California is between Sacramento and San Francisco. And our first leg of the journey was from Vacaville to Sacramento, our first stop. That was about 45 miles. I had never gotten on my bike. I just got on it in Vacaville. And Ron adjusted the seat for my height. It was pouring down rain. And remember, guys? Yeah. And so what I was going to say is that when I announced I was going to do this in January, I immediately got sick for 3 months with various things. So I couldn't really train. So I was really worried about, like, I'm just going to go as far as I can every day and then just get in better shape. So the first day I rode the whole way, but between Vacaville and Sacramento, it's like flat as a pancake. There's just like little lumps over the canals or the railroad tracks or whatever. And so I name everything. And so my bike is a Le Mans. It says Le Mans on it. I guess that's the frame. So she was French, and she told me her name. Her name's Brigitte. So I just thought I'd share that with you. Doesn't really make any difference, but we have 3 hours to kill. So we might get to know each other very well. Who's next? Dan? No, Dan. Okay. Malcolm?
All right.
Malcolm over there selling our t-shirts, etc. Malcolm Chaddock. We started, Anna.
Thanks. My name is Malcolm Chaddock. I'm with Veterans for Peace, Individuals for Justice, and a Partridge in a Pear Tree. And I, with this tour as the support driver, managed to pick up a van for fairly inexpensive. It's a good, strong vehicle, and we're hoping to load it up heavily with the gear that of all the riders that will be joining us along the way to help them get up and down the hills. My main focus in Veterans for Peace is pretty obvious, and I think you've probably heard from a lot of EFPs over the time that you've been in activism. So I'm going to take a moment to speak about one of my other issues, and that is the Fukushima disaster that is ongoing. I was speaking with somebody here earlier who, there he is, and we were talking about how Occupy has turned into so many wonderful offshoots with all the people who met that wouldn't normally have encountered each other. And one of those in the Portland area is called No Nukes Northwest. And that group has been following this disaster since it began. And as one of the principals, I established a radiation monitoring station west of Portland that's doing 24/7 air readings. And by the way, Portland's looking pretty good relatively speaking to the rest of the country. The disaster at Fukushima is being talked about in past tense, and that's a mistake. It is actually 3 melt-throughs, not just meltdowns, but melt-throughs in 3 separate reactors on that property that are contributing to the radioactivity of the Pacific Ocean. As they pour water in, trying to keep these things from going actually critical, the water is leaking out into the Pacific at the rate of millions of gallons a day. And their tank farm that they have on the plant site is full, and they're releasing that back into the ocean with just minimal or no treatment. As a result, the ocean currents have been carrying not just the debris from the tsunami that got washed off, but also this effluent is traveling across the ocean as well along these currents, and is being brought to us by 2 different directions. The ocean currents that proceed directly from Japan to the west coast of the United States, and also currents that run up along Alaska and down that way and end up swirling around like this. The end result of that is that I don't eat seafood anymore, and I don't recommend it to anyone at this point, because the monitoring that's being done is spotty at best, and I personally believe, and many people who have been following this believe, that a lot of information is simply not being gathered, so they won't have to tell you. In recent days, President Obama and the EPA has raised the acceptable limits for not only the number of people who collect cancers off a nuclear disaster by a factor of 1,000, but they've also raised the limits of edible radiation, if you will, what you can find in food that's now permissible to be sold. And I've been urging people to pay a lot of attention to that. Now, what does this have to do with Tour de Peace? Well, basically, what it has to do with Tour de Peace is that we are on a mission to bring people together so that they can exchange information that they will need to band together, build community, and to survive the times that we're in and the future. And the reason that our flyer has so many things on it is because all these issues relate to each other in a variety of ways. So that has basically been, my particular focus, besides the support vehicle, is that issue and tying it all together and trying to get people to understand it. While we have a great many things on our minds as activists, there are people who are highly educated in these matters. This is not even on their radar. It needs to be brought in.
I agree.
Yeah, that's it for me.
Thank you, Malcolm. And another way it ties into Tour de Peace is that a few months after the Fukushima disaster, so after the earthquake, after the tsunamis, and then the resulting nuclear issues, I went to Japan for Hiroshima and Nagasaki days, and I
told you
toured.
not to, too.
He did tell me not to. I toured the country from Tokyo to I never remember that island where all the Marine bases are. I want to call it Guantanamo. Very similar. Okinawa and back down to Tokyo. And I actually have a growth on my thyroid now. So one of the things that I'm going to be doing along the way is finding, because I don't have health care, so I have to find some kind of provider that can take tests and see exactly what that is on my thyroid. But that's not like, that doesn't have anything to do with Tour de Peace, except that we're riding our bikes because we oppose these dirty, dangerous, filthy, toxic, poisonous forms of energy. And Japan has enough thermal energy to power the entire country. They don't need to rely on nuclear power. And so this is what we're saying. You know, from the top down and from the down back up, is that we need to break our addiction to these filthy, dirty, toxic, poisonous forms of energy. I don't own a car either. I sold my car 7 years ago. So I've been either biking or walking or taking public transportation because I believe so strongly in this. We have the technology. The technology doesn't have to be developed. It's there. If we would stop giving subsidies and tax breaks to the oil companies, we could have a clean, sustainable, renewable forms of energy production, because we need energy. There's no getting around that. We need energy. But we don't need the kind that they're literally killing life on the planet as we speak. The XL pipeline, the people say, oh, Obama, don't approve the XL pipeline. Well, guess what? It's already burst in Arkansas and Minnesota. What do you mean, don't approve it? To me, it's already been approved because it's built in many places. The BP thing in the Gulf of Mexico is still polluting. Pollution from these filthy forms of energy all over. And in California, we have 2 nuclear power plants that are very compromised. The safety's compromised because they're very close to earthquake faults themselves. And so anyway, I want to bring up Anna. What we're doing is like everybody on the team is speaking, and if you want to, since you're the organizer, but I'm going to bring John up, and then Anna. After John, why don't you take over? And then maybe you can introduce me. Okay, Jon Gold.
Hi everyone, my name is Jon Gold. Very briefly, with regards to Cindy, I've been a supporter of Cindy's since she testified at the Downing Street rental hearings in the basement of the Capitol building in Washington, D.C. So when she asked me to participate in the Tour de Peace, like Camp Out Now, like Sizzling Summer Protests in Washington, D.C., I participated because I believe in what Cindy does. I have been an advocate for 9/11 justice for the past 11 years. Can somebody or anybody tell me some of the changes or some of the things that have happened as a direct result of the 9/11 attacks?
Homeland Security.
Department of Homeland Security,
Patriot Act.
the Patriot Act,
Invasion of Iraq.
invasion of Iraq, invasion of Afghanistan, the drone bombings of Pakistan, Yemen, Somalia. Basically, we were lied to about 9/11. And before I tell you about some of those lies, I wanted to address the mainstream media in this country. The mainstream media has done everything within its power to attack, slander, misrepresent anyone who questions the official account of 9/11. As a result, many people do not want to touch the subject because it's become a third rail. Now, no matter what the mainstream media says, that doesn't take away from the fact that we were lied to about 9/11, okay? Some of those lies, you may remember after 9/11, we were told repeatedly by multiple people in the Bush administration and media pundits throughout that there were no warnings. There were a multitude of warnings, okay? And to give you a brief example, in November of 2007, there was a conference held in New Hartford, Connecticut. And at that conference, one of the famous Jersey girls, the four widows who fought for the creation of the 9/11 Commission, made a surprise appearance at this conference. Her name is Patty Casazza. And at the conference, she talked about how because the 9/11 Commission did not subpoena certain whistleblowers, they had to meet them secretly on the side of the road in Maryland. And some of the information that these whistleblowers had showed that this government knew the day, the target, and the type of attack. Okay? The 9/11 Commission, which the family members fought for, was mandated to give a full and complete accounting of the 9/11 attack. So everything that they omitted from their 9/11 report shows that they failed in their mandate. And Patty Casazza took a list of whistleblowers to Thomas Keane, who was the chairman of the 9/11 Commission, saying that these people need to be heard. And he promised her to her face that each and every one of them would be heard. Hardly any of them were. And the ones that were heard, I think, received a footnote in the back of the book. So that's one of the lies, that there were no warnings. Another lie, the 9/11 report says that the source of the funding for the 9/11 attacks was of little practical significance. Meanwhile, we find out that Prince Bandar, does everybody know who Prince Bandar is?
Bandar Bush.
Bandar Bush was former ambassador to Saudi Arabia from, okay. His wife is connected to money of two of the hijackers, okay? So I think that's a little significant. Another lie, well, NORAD's response that morning. The lies were so bad from NORAD that even the corrupt and compromised 9/11 commissioners thought about referring it to the Justice Department for a criminal investigation. Another lie we were told is that any relationship that we had with Osama bin Laden and the Mujahideen after, we were told after the Afghanistan-Russia war that any relationship we had with them ended, and that's false. We used the Mujahideen and different terrorists throughout the 90s, up until the day of 9/11 in the Balkans, the Caucasus, just as now we've been using them in Libya and Syria and Iran. So that's a lie. Another lie we were told, and I briefly mentioned the 9/11 Commission, was that it was the most comprehensive investigation we could have gotten. And it was the most compromised and corrupt investigation since the Warren report, since the Warren Commission. And people, the Jersey girls, one of the reasons that they fought for the creation of the 9/11 Commission was because they wanted to get their lies down on paper. Okay? So now we have their lies down on paper, and now people need to be held accountable. There are people that need to go to jail with regards to 9/11. George Tenet, Condoleezza Rice, Philip Zelikow, who was the executive director of the 9/11 Commission, who in February of 2008, it was written by New York Times reporter Phil Sheehan, that Philip Zelikow, who was in charge of where the investigation would go, who would be questioned, and so forth, was taking direction from Karl Rove. And as a result of that information, the Jersey girls called for an entirely new investigation. And the media doesn't seem to want to cover that. So we were lied to about 9/11. There is absolutely no justification for everything that has transpired in the name of that day. Okay? And this is a truth that America needs to understand. This is a truth that America needs to accept, because that day can no longer be used as it has been, should not be allowed to be used as it has been. The family members, they deserve justice, and not the kind that you find at Gitmo. Okay? They deserve to know exactly what happened that day. They deserve to know who was responsible, and they deserve to see people held accountable. Okay? And, right now, They're sifting through the remains again, and they're finding different remains from loved ones lost that day. They've had to watch the names of their loved ones used to do all of these horrific things around the world. Torture, drone attacks, wireless wiretapping, all of it in the name of their loved ones. And they've been denied justice, and now they have to wait and see if their loved ones' remains are found. And to me, I know everything that I know, and I'm angry about it, but I can't possibly imagine knowing what I know on top of having lost someone that day. So, and now they have to see if any of the remains are found, and it's just heartbreaking. They deserve better. We all do, because we were all attacked that day. So people need to be held accountable, and that's part of what Toward the Peace is about. Accountability for war crimes. And there were many war crimes that have taken place. And nobody's been held accountable. And a government that is not accountable is a very dangerous government, as we have seen. So it needs to stop. So that's why I'm going Toward the Peace. Unfortunately, I hurt my hip, so I'm leaving on Saturday, but I'm going to try to work from home to be supportive of the tour and Cindy and everyone else. So, but thanks for everyone for coming out today.
Hello, everybody, and thank you for coming today. My name is Anna Anders, and it's an honor to be here today. So thank you for coming out. Thank you for your patience. I'm a little disappointed because this is a peace rally, and if you look around this room, there's not that many people here. And that's so, S-O-U-L, disturbing to me today. I'm grateful, I'm honored, I am disappointed that more people are not here today. But I'm not going to let that take away from the event today. I'm really honored that Cindy's here. And, you know, I gave away a bunch of peace flags at Ground Zero, and in that bag back there, there's 2 peace flags that are left. And I'd like to show them to you guys today, but the one peace flag, I want to hand over to Cindy Sheehan for her son, Casey Sheehan. And with that, I give you beautiful Miss Cindy Sheehan.
Thank you, Anna. Thanks for helping us. And are these your glasses?
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, everybody who did come. You know, organizing and raising money and raising people and volunteers has been very, very difficult in the age of Obama. The crimes continue. You know, it's not about Obama or Bush. You know, I found that out in really 2006, 2007. I'm a slow learner. I should have learned it a lot sooner. It's about the empire. It's about the establishment. It's about the momentum of these institutions that profit off of this war and mayhem. So even though the crimes of empire continue unabated and in fact have expanded in many cases, the movement against those things has not. As a matter of fact, it's contracted. And we saw it happening in 2006, 2007, when the Democrats took back control of the House of Representatives, and my political opponent, Nancy Pelosi, famously declared that impeachment was off the table, but war funding was on the table. And so I ran against her in 2008, in case you didn't hear. That's about when I fell off the face of the earth. Came in second, but that's when the activism started to decrease. You know, since we've been on this tour, The Monsanto Protection Act has been passed and signed into law. You know, we want to change our demands to remove all GMOs from our food and hold Monsanto accountable for poisoning our food, not protect them from current and future liability for their poisons. This is the company that gave us Agent Orange, PCBs, bovine growth hormone, Roundup. You know, gave us all these toxic chemicals, yet we're supposed to trust them with our food supply? Not for me or for my grandbabies. You know, and people all over the world are standing up to Monsanto and saying no, but where are we? How come we're not standing up to Monsanto and our government? It's a government by and for the corporations. But how can we make it by and for the people if we don't courageously make our principles, our activism conform to our principles, not the principles of the Democratic Party, which they don't conform to my principles. So that's one of our main things, is to say this activism based on partisanship, no matter if your party is a Democrat or a Republican party, will keep us locked in this slavery to the corporations. You know, we can say, oh, let's have this constitutional amendment to say that corporations aren't people. But in case, you guys probably all know because you're here, but the corporations write the laws. Wall Street writes the laws that regulate Wall Street. The insurance companies write the insurance reform bills. You know, Monsanto worked with Congress to write that, what do they call that?
Bill.
Well, not, because it was inside a bill.
Amendment?
Amendment to.
Rider.
Monsanto wrote that freaking thing.
No.
So we want them to police themselves. That's what these commissions do. And whenever there's police violence, and we've seen a lot of it since the Occupy movement happened, the people who investigate are the criminals. So we're going to trust a 9/11 commission, we're going to trust a Warren commission, we're going to trust a police commission made up of the criminals saying, oh, our police didn't act inappropriately. No, we have to be the people who put the brakes on our government and the corporations. We can't count on our government or corporations to do that because they're like this. And that's called fascism. Well, we don't do it by saying, oh, we have a Democrat in office now, so, you know, let's give them a chance.
Do we do that by getting the money out of Wells Fargo?
Can I talk and then we can take questions? Oh, there's a wide variety of things that we can do that are based on people's movements and not. We can boycott every food that has GMOs in it. We can support foods that don't use GMOs or who support legislation to get GMOs out. We can take our money out of the banks. I mean, I know when I took my money out of Bank of America, they were on virtual collapse. I took my $3 out. God damn it, they don't have that $3. So, but what we need before those things is a mass movement of people. We need the people educated that they need to do this. You know, we're riding across the country starting tomorrow. We have 3 people. And I'm the only one that's riding full time. And 2 support people. You know, so, but we get to stop. Maybe there's just a few people here, and I'm not really disappointed in the turnout. I'm happy that you're all here. You know, this is This started 12 noon on a Friday. How many people can come out to things on 12 noon on Friday? But it's being videotaped. We have thousands of people watching our Facebook page, linking to those videos, watching those videos, sharing them. And so that's what it's about. It's about educating people to work together against these things that we are protesting. So I haven't paid my taxes for 7 years. I'm a war tax resistor. And it's at best a statement. Unless you have thousands of millions of people doing it with you, at best, it's just that I'll take questions when I'm finished. And I'm going to finish up pretty soon so I can take questions. It's based on my own principles. As I came to the conclusion that I'd rather go to prison than support the crimes of my government, right? But if there was millions of us doing it together, that wouldn't be a statement, that would be a movement, right? And so if there were millions of us boycotting GMOs or taking our money out of the banks, even if we only had $1, that'd be $1 million. Taking our money out of the banks, doing community-based activism like community food production, local currency, local trade, just all kinds of community things we can do to take our participation out of the system, then that would be a movement. So what we're doing riding across the country is getting in awesome shape. My daughter goes, "Wow, Mom, look at your butt." She saw a picture of me riding my bike. Getting in shape. And after Camp Casey, I just got sicker and sicker and sicker. I went to Crawford, a pretty healthy person. Went 2 years after that, no, 1 year, just 1 year. I went back the next summer and had 2 emergency surgeries and almost bled to death. But this is the thing, if I don't get hit by one of those stupid trucks that close to me on the road, I'll come out being a lot healthier. So how can we do our activism and be healthier for it? Ride your bike 3,500 miles. So anyway, yeah, it's about all of that stuff. But it's about making it a movement, not just a personal statement. I mean, I think we all try to live our lives based on our core principles. But to really, truly change things takes a people's movement. And I don't know how many people have said that. Howard Zinn, Margaret Mead, a lot of people, me. The only thing that has changed things for the good is people power.